Hey kids, it's Jurassic James, and it's Jurassic James Explains. We're looking at Eotriceratops. Now I know you've been in Walmart and Target and other stores, and probably at this point Ross, and have seen this toy and were thinking, why won't Jurassic James talk about it? I was waiting for a discount. So, Eotriceratops, this is one of those dinosaurs that I knew about, but no one ever asked me about it, I'd ever talk about, etc., etc. So I'm kind of interested in talking about this a little bit. I'm surprised I got a toy, but here we are. Official scissors, Jurassic James. We're going to release the beast and one cut. Oh, wait for it. Yeah. So that's a ceratopsian. It has 4 toes, 4 fingers. Now here's a cool thing. We don't know that. They only have a skull, about 9.8 feet, about 10 feet almost skull. The animal, almost the animal formerly known as Triceratops. Eotriceratops. First of all, the name Eo means dawn. So you may remember after dinosaurs died, we have the Paleogene and then the Eocene, the dawn of the recent. Eoraptor, dawn rat thief. So the idea with this guy here is that this dinosaur is something that, due to the rock layer of the Horseshoe Canyon Formation, the upper part of the Horseshoe, to the very end. So in a part of Alberta, Canada, we have this area called the Horseshoe Canyon Formation. Several layers of rocks, several different dig sites, and this is in the top part of that. So it is actually before Triceratops, as the name implies. The first remains of this animal should have been discovered in 1910. Barnum Brown, the legendary Barnum Brown, was in the area and found something in the site, and considered the Albertosaurus. Always go with theropods. If you're going to, if you're going to get attention for your work, go for a theropod. But the idea is that a later team came out in 2006 and found, and they published on this animal. And so the big thing is we only have a skull. So the skull is pretty, I mean, there's the specimen on display has it's been reconstructed, but overall it's this shape and look. And I am one to say, was it a different species or just an older version of Triceratops? It's in a different rock layer, but officially there's only one specimen and one species of this animal. So to get a toy is kind of a big thing. Now, by comparison, I wanted to show you this. Well, actually, this is when I got this Triceratops, I didn't even review it because why? I already did the Triceratops video anyway. But the idea is that when I got this figure from Jurassic World, I was very, I don't know why. I mean, I got it at a discount because I remember it was so horrific and hideous. But the idea is that it has these large armor plates on its back and this armor here, and it does this thing, and I was like, it's just like a Steven Spielberg, even him, he did one pretty accurate. This is like a monstery armor plating Star Wars Triceratops anyway. But as far as size go, when it was first stuck up, it was thought to be way bigger than Triceratops. Turns out it was not. Again, I always tell you, when you see a paper, wait a year before you start saying and doing things. I know eventually I'm going to talk about Eotriceratops, but the point is, Eotriceratops, so what can we say about the animal from just the skull? We know it's a ceratopsian, it's a close relative to Triceratops, if not an ancestor, but more importantly, its environment would have included what you see at the end of Cretaceous in North America. There would have been tyrannosaurs, duck-billed mosasaurs. There would have been also what would call it, raptors of some sort, ankylosaurs, pectosaurs. That's the animals that have been in the environment it was found in. So even though they didn't necessarily find those things right next to it, we know that that's the stuff that's kind of in the same time frame. What you wouldn't have seen is a brachiosaurus there because it's late Cretaceous North America. And so as far as the toy goes, like I said, 4 toes in the front, 4 in the back. Bear in mind that I can't say it has this or not because we don't have its feet, but for Triceratops there's 3, well, my hands are human, so there's a thing going on, but the 3 main toes and 2 little small nubbins, this kind of 4-toe thing is kind of very common for these figures in Jurassic World, so sure, but the idea is that there's 3 clawed toes on Triceratops. Again, this is incorrect. But one thing to point out is that little side note here. I may have mentioned in the Triceratops video. If I haven't, I'm sorry. If I did, I'm sorry. If I haven't, new information. But there are only 2 recognized species of Triceratops. And I say that because there's a period where they were finding so many of them because in the late Cretaceous, let's say dinosaurs died at this point, and here's Maastrichtian and the Campanian and different time epochs, right, or ages. So they were finding so many. So in the Campanian, 75 million years ago, there's always different types of horned dinosaurs throughout North America. Remember, the ocean, the Gulf has gone inwards and has cut North America into two. We have the Lamidia on the west and Appalachia on the east. And so all these little environments are formed, all these different ceratopsians. By the Maastrichtian, the very end of Cretaceous, that sea is draining out, and we have one large continent. And dinosaurs, and so, for example, you may have had the Spinosaurus running around, and Gorgosaurus and Brontosaurus, different like that, and they were replaced by T-Rex, right? You may have had Parasaurolophus in the south, at least, the southern part of North America. You have had other different duckbills, and they were replaced by Edmontosaurus. So you see bigger animals replacing fewer species that are bigger, replacing smaller species that are more numerous, right? And so the idea here is that when they found Triceratops, in the very end Cretaceous, there's only like 2 or 3 ceratopsians at the Cretaceous of America, Triceratops being one of them, and of course Torosaurus, who some of the specimens found are thought to be maybe, possibly would have been considered Eotriceratops. It's the whole thing that there are people debating this right now. But the idea is that they were finding so many Triceratops and giving different names for different species. At some point they realized, oh wait, there's a lot of these things. There's individual variation. I mean, if you look at my skeleton, I assume you're human, your skeleton. We're both humans, but there's variation in our skeleton. You wouldn't give us different species names. And so the official two, and I don't, these are not confirmed, but I believe this 2018 Safari Triceratops is the species Triceratops hortus. That's one in the East Museum, we believe. Small nose horn, the horns go up and go like this. Whereas this Papo figure is Triceratops porus it should have a longer nose horn, but the horns on the brow go up. Those are the 2 species that are recognized. I don't think these 2 toys were made as those species, but I'm just looking at them saying they share more of each of those traits. Eotriceratops is a very different shaped frill. That's why it's often considered to be something closer to probably Torosaurus or another related ceratopsian. But we can know it's not necessarily Triceratops because it is from a lower level of rock. So the idea is that if you find all these humans together in one layer, probably the same species. But if you dig down in a different layer, could be the same species, but at least the fact there's a different layer gives you more, like a million years difference, or 2 million years difference. That gives you more of a chance of being different species. So again, Eotriceratops is neat. People appreciate it. As a toy, it does this thing where if you put the tail down, it goes up. But you turn it sideways, it does this. I don't know why. I feel like it's like a fun, it's running action kind of thing. But or it's like don't taste the row. I don't know. But cool figure. I mean, it's really neat. It's not as big as I thought it was, but still neat, large skull ceratopsian. Not the biggest skull. Predecessor is way larger by comparison. But again, really cool dinosaur. Something I didn't think I'd ever see in toy form. So here we are. I guess thank you, Jurassic World. See you guys later.